Hey YouTubers, it's me again. So this is a first. I am going to pick up the what do you call it? The Echo PBs, or I think it's a PB-770 that needs the new throttle cable, and I got to do that, and then I want to put a tune-up kit in it. So the reason why I'm doing this intro is because it's hotter than blue blazes outside, and I'm in the shade. I have got the air conditioning going on. We've got my puppy right in the back. She's feeling the AC too, and we're gonna get the phone fully charged and gonna hopefully keep it cool enough in between shots so that when I actually go and do the repair, you guys will be able to follow along. So this is the extra it's the extra mile that I go to for you guys. So let's see how it works, and hopefully this will get published. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, you guys, here we go. We're gonna try to do this thing in grand fashion. So we are working on an Echo PB-770H 770 Hotel. That H right there stands for this hip throttle over here, okay? And this is what I carry in my bag, is mostly like for pulling this thing apart. If I need to use any sockets, which we don't on this one, I have this little adapter that goes inside my impact. But I got the big long reach T27, which is, you're gonna need that for getting in here to undo. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm gonna end up taking the starter off and see if I can't match up one of these bolts here to, because he's missing one over here. He's missing one right there. So basically I'm gonna try to film the disassembly, and then I'll speed it up, and then when I start to do any commentary, then hopefully I'll be able to slow it down. So if the phone doesn't shut off, this should go really well. And by the way, when you go to undo this right here, there's a nut back there. Just remember that that's in there for when you go to take and put it back together. See if I can zoom in. There's a nut on the back side of there. Yeah, so it's a T27 shaft bolt, and then there's a nut that's in the back. So I'm going to take this thing apart, and then once we start doing the actual repairs, then we'll just try to do a speeded up version on this. Okay? All right, let's see you in a couple. Gotta move, baby. Right now, you guys, we're just pulling bolts. I'm gonna lay it down on its face because I just can't see well enough. That one. There's another one. Of course, that bolt's missing. There's that. There's that. That one right there next to the carburetor. All right. Taking the air filter cover off. This is like exciting stuff, isn't it? Filter looks almost new. Maybe this meant when that throttle broke, it just hasn't been run. So, turn it around here. These two bolts right here, those go directly in and to the little isolator block, and that holds the carburetor in there. They're the longest bolts in the whole fiasco, so you know which ones go there. Turn it around. That impact sure just makes your life a little easier to get to all this stuff. So it looks like, look right here, hold on, looks like the heat shield got on the wrong side of this piece of plastic. We'll make sure that goes in there right. Okay, so now for us, there's two things that have got to happen here. Where the repair mostly has to be, or it mostly has to occur, oops, excuse me, is going to be, take this off, is where all these wires, let me see if I can see that with my finger, right behind my finger there, see that? T27 back there, there's a ground wire, and then it also holds the throttle cable into place. So I got to get in there and remove all of that in order to put the throttle back together. Over here, that's the only thing they don't give you. You got to use this from yours. That's the only thing they don't give you. They'll give you both the left and the right sides, the cable and the wiring, but they don't give you the actual trigger. So I don't know how I'm going to stay down this low in order to get that out of there for you. As you can see, the carburetor is already loose and we're replacing that. So I'm going to disconnect the fuel lines and all that stuff, and then I'll come back and show you like how we go to hook up the new throttle, because it has to pass over the top of this little wheel. Let me use a pointer right here. There's the little wheel right there, and then the throttle cable goes over the top of that. So you'll see it all when the new stuff goes on there. It'll all be nice and clean. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so here's a close-up of the piece that we have to take out. Just remember how where your wires go and everything. And there's the screw that goes right there. It's going to keep that in I'll keep that one because that one's a little bit different than the rest. So I'll keep that one right there. And now we're going to take this one out. Let's see if I can do it while you're watching. The little metal plate that goes across just dropped down in there, but keeping these wires together, these are what we're all gonna end up replacing. So now you can just take a pair of pliers or something and get in there and actually take and pull this throttle cable out. There it is. So now you're gonna have to come in here, look down just a squidge. I got a bunch of zip ties on there, so and you take and cut those, and then I will be able to disassemble. Let's see if I can turn this around. Let's see if you can see. Take the zoom out. This is the one with the bolt. This is the hip part of it. I'm gonna zip this out. That's the one that has the bolt on the very end. Take that out. We're going to have to put this piece back together so you can see where the wiring feeds through. And then let me see if I can move up here on the actual handle without it dropping off. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay. So there's that one and that one. And this handle just separates. Now, when all this wiring comes up, you can still see, when all this wiring comes up through there, this piece right here, it comes out, but it's very fussy as to the way that it goes in. But see that little dent, that little curve right there? That's going to have to get lined up at some point with the throttle, because see, now it clears for the new cable to go in, and then once it's in service, it covers it up and keeps it into place. So that's pretty important. I'm going to move that off to the side. The switch, we don't really care about that. This part right here is holding that back plate on, so it's a Phillips screwdriver. I'm not used to doing this much detail for you guys, but I'm growing, I'm learning. That thing is still recording. I hope it's recording. Yep. Like that. So now we can get that second piece of the handle off. Like I said, they give you, and they're labeled. See that R? If I twist it enough, there's an R. So there is a left and a right to this handle of how it needs to go back together. So now I'm just gonna take and try to pull this stuff through. You might not be able to get it through all at once, so show it over here. Focus. Pulling that cable through there. Now it's free over here. You need to get the switch to go down through that hole. That's probably actually the smart thing to do, instead of trying to feed that down through there, is I should be able to take and use the side cutters, cut this. Let me show you where the wires are going to come up through this loom. We're getting ready. We'll be able to replace it with all the new stuff, and the wires are already running through there. So basically, I just need to take and cut it loose. You're not in the picture. I need to take and cut it loose from the wires that are staying with the machine. Okay. Now once I get those, I can slide it through. Yeah. This one just disconnects right here. There we go. Okay, so now this will come up through. That's like a little gasket right there. It stays on there. And this is just so dirty. Disconnect it from the carburetor, and that's it. From there, I don't even really care. Let's see if I can undo this wire loom. Should be able to. I just want to make sure for you guys. I'm trying to look to see if I pull on this end, if it'll come through that end. Nope. Nope. Well, I guess we are going to have to get that thing to feed up through there, through that hole. It's going to be a little tricky. All right, I'll be back, and I'll let you know how it happened. So here it is. Everything's feeding up. It's got to come out through the front. Watch here when I pull. That wire loom's coming through there. Take and turn that throttle cable. Turn the throttle cable so it'll go down inside of there. There's the old one. Here's the new one. So to get the new one in, I think probably gonna have to zip tie it or something and feed it down through, or do it in 2 stages. Let's just try to do it in the 2 stages so you can watch. So I'm gonna take this and this. I'm gonna push it down through. And of course I'm trying to look through the camera while I'm doing this, so I gotta look down here, you guys. It just ain't gonna happen. Real time. Get in there to the point, because it's, you can't see it from there. There's that little small hole that you're dealing with right there. And once you see one, you might be able to, we can reach in there with the pliers. There's one. Let's grab that. Pull this one through. So you can get that other wire in there. There's that one. I'm looking up there. Okay, I'm going to have to do that off camera, guys. You can stay with me, but I just can't see through there at the exact same way that I need to. I loomed that right over the top of that. See what I did right there? I'm going to see if that's an easy way to get it in. So I did like that. Now I'm going to push it down through the hole, so I can see it. Okay guys, so like this one is almost back together, but I wanted to show you this switch was kind of tricky. Let me get the focus on this. How's that? Anyways, so the switch is just like, it's just a regular toggle switch. The part of it with the brass, that sticks down, okay? And then these 2 grooves are going to go in that groove and in that groove. It just pushes, make sure that that little piece of brass, that little piece of brass goes right down under here. So if we start off with that, work the switch up in there. Can you see that? And then it just pushes in. That's in. Now, on the new one, you can see that when you take and you pull this all the way back, it rocks the switch. So that would be on, that would be off. See it? What do I do with that? Okay. These pieces right here, they need to be straight, the edges need to be straight up and down. Because if you look at this, that little piece right there, that little piece right there, and then there's a circle. That circle is recessed and it goes down inside of there. So if you go like, if it's off by just a little bit and you try to take and put the second part of the handle back together, it won't close up. See, you'll end up with that gap in there. You'll force it and it just won't work right. So you got to go like this, kind of get a straight up and down picture. And if you get pretty close, you can move that trigger. See how it moves with the thumb trigger right there to get it to go in just right. I still got to put that piece in, but I wanted to show you that how that goes in. So see how it fell right into place? Now what if I went like this and I moved it out a little bit out of place? Now we're back to where we were. It won't go on. So you think you're kind of close, pull it back. There, you just saw that it snapped into place. Okay, and the switch works. Okay, so I'm going to move ahead and then I'll be back. I just got to put this piece back on. Okay, here we are. We're still at it. Make sure I'm focusing, guys. Not burning up too much power. So the new handle goes like this. Slides down. Make sure that that cable is captured in its little slot right there. I did take and run the wires, one around this hole and then one above there. Seems to be, I didn't pay attention when I took it apart, shame on me. So now this goes, there's these 2 screw holes, right? And then there's the 2 slots on the side. So this just slides up and tucks into there, keeps everything from moving. And then these are the only Phillips screws so far that we've taken out. So we're going to take that, screw this in. It's just keeping that piece from falling out, so I don't think it has to be, you know, death grip tight unless it's going into plastic. I don't know if I'll ever do this again, you guys. This is nerve-wracking. Okay, so there's that. Here's this assembly. We're going to take and put this handle back together. Oh, geez, it doesn't fit. What do we do? We'll move it a little bit. We're going to move that just a little bit. Hold on. There's that. And move that till it falls into place. There it is. We know that it's still connected. If you watch the end of that cable, how it's moving back and forth. Okay, so there's that. Here are the 2 bolts. If you have one of those long magnetic bars and you're doing this stuff, because I'll show you here in a second. These were the flathead ones that go in there. If you just take it, like, drop them into a tray like this, you're like, oh geez, you don't know. But if you use a magnetic bar and line them up the way that you took them off, then you shouldn't really have any problem putting them back together. So, I don't usually like to use the impact to reassemble, because if you're off by a squidge, that impact is just gonna put you in a big world of hurt. Right, there, we're back together. Let's take and tighten these up. Here's one. Hats off to guys like Bruce and Dave. Always, I mean, he does a lot of manual. Dave Ackerman, you know, watch his channel. He does a lot of manual camera, and I know that he shoots with a phone. I think Bruce has got a little bit more gourmet ultra deluxe equipment, but here we go. We're good to go. All right, now we got to take and put this back together. So you can see that hole. I'm not even going to mess with the camera. You need to take and, whoops, actually this has got to go through here. All these wires, they got to come down through this hole first, right? Can you see that? See what I just did there? I put them all through the middle. Now I'm going to feed them up through here. Come on. Come on. At least once we give it the tune-up and everything, we'll be able to actually work the throttle. Won't that be nice? Okay, so there's all the wires that are going through there. Wires in the cable. We're back on the hip. There's that little raggy gasket that was on there. And that's another thing, guys. Like, sometimes when you're taking stuff apart, then you come across it and you're like, oh man, I wonder if I could, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know what I mean? But I want to get that out of the way. Make sure that there's going to be a nice clear shot that goes for that bolt over there. Here's this. There's the cover. Now I'm going to just take and put my finger back in there and hold that bolt. Now this is not a shoulder bolt, but it just takes and puts pressure on it. So if you over tighten it, put, you know, the the death grip on it, you're gonna have a hard time working the actual hip joint. Like there, you can see it. Back it off just a squidge. Works better like that. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, I gotta figure out a way to set up a new camera angle, guys, because this is junk. This is junk. That is all junk. We're done with that. Okay. Now we're gonna get over here. Put the new carburetor on, new primer, all that fun stuff. So what I'm gonna tell you is probably more than what I'm gonna show you. If you see, look, this one's all just dry rotted right out of there. So we're gonna have to fix the one that's in the tank. It just came right out. So we need to fix that one. And remember where these guys go. There's a short end. Can you see my finger? No. On the primer there. Zoom over. Like, there's the short end, and then there's a long end underneath of there. You just got to remember where they go, because we're going to replace this primer. And to get that primer out of there, it's not a real big secret or nothing. Let me see if I can get it back into the picture. Right there. There's two little tabs. Focus, focus, focus. There's two little tabs. Once you get one of them released, it'll pop out. There's the first one. See where it's popped in? Now you can just take it, pull it out. There's the old primer. So we're gonna get a new one. I'm gonna orientate it the same way that it was, with the long end sticking up. Hold on. This is what all America wants, I guess. So the long one's going to be sticking up. You can see, let me take the stupid zoom out a little bit. So like, there's the long end of the primer right there to this side, right over here where my finger is bouncing, okay? So you want that to be up there. You can see where the dogs line up. Get one end started in there. Push it in. Click. There's a new primer. Ready to go. Alright, I'm going to change out these fuel lines, you guys. But I'm going to have to try to do another angle. Okay, guys, follow along. Camera's getting hot. So on this primer, sugar. I didn't swear. On this primer, the short one does the sucking, the long one does the pushing. So since we have broken lines, you probably wouldn't really know where or what. But we do have a new grommet. Let me take that stupid zoom out. We have a new grommet. So basically what we're going to do is, like, we're just going to take and rebuild this grommet to go, if it's the same size, to go in this hole. One, the short hose right there, that's the fuel return. This one is supposed to have a filter on the end of it, and then the other one right here is the vent. So we have all of those components. We just want to make sure that these are going to be the same, and it sure looks like they're compatible. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take new fuel line, and we're just going to rebuild that. So let's just start off with, I don't know, something easy. Remember this one back from a long time ago? You guys, we're going to take and cut this on an angle. And the beauty part about this is that we don't really have to go fishing down. We're going to put some technical lube on there. So we don't have to go fishing down for, like, through the tank to do this. We should be able to just go and let it come right through the bottom of the grommet right there. Grab a pair of pliers and just pull it through a little ways. You can cut it, you can trim it if you want. It doesn't matter. Just So we're going to leave this one pretty long because we know where it goes. It's got to go from, look over here. We're gonna guesstimate it. So that goes in there, and then this is going to be up here from the fuel return of, you're kind of guessing where the carburetor height is. So it's going to be up there. We're going to cut it right here so we know that that's going to work, okay? The other one is going to be the primer. That's going to have the fuel line. So you need all the rest of this. Put it down here like this. You're going to need all the rest of this length because it's got to go down in the tank, and it's going to have the filter on it, right? So if we go like this, we're going to take and we're going to stick a filter on here. Am I doing it in camera? Yeah. Put the filter on there. I know usually Echo has got a little ring that goes on there, but that's such a snug fit, I don't think we have to worry about it. Okay, same thing. We're going to take and we're going to, am I getting the picture? We're going to take and we're going to cut this on an angle without me slicing my fingers off. Got a nice little point on there. Can you see that? Am I in focus at all? Okay, so there's that. But now this time, we're going to go up through the bottom because we're not sure. You got to put a little bit of technical lube on there. Yes, it's spit. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to pull this line up through. Kind of guesstimate like how much of the tank. Looking like where the grommet goes, and then where this is going to lay down in the bottom of the fuel tank. Okay, so that part looks pretty good. Now the only one that we have left to do is the vent. Now, in the kit, they give you a little bit of a different vent. There's this one. Here is the original one. I don't know if it makes that much difference. What do you think? I put this one on the other one. Technically, you could stick it right in there and it would do the same thing. But that's not what we're doing right now. So we got another little piece of line. I think there's a place for it to hang up, but I'm gonna just put about 3.5 inches on there. I just cut it right there. No, you know what? I need to leave it a little bit longer just so I can cut it on an angle. I don't want to waste this stuff. Right here. See? Same thing. A lot of guys have big trouble with these fuel lines. You know, once you do a few of them, then you're like, oh my God, why didn't I ever think of that? So I'm not sticking it down through there. Yeah, a little bit of spit, a little bit of technical lube. There's that. Clean it up just to make it look pretty. I'm going to cut it here, right there, and we're going to stick it in. So now we just went and we rebuilt that hole, everything that needs to go into the tank. I'm going to clean this little area off where the grommet goes. Let's see, right here. That area is all nice and spiffed up. We've got extra fuel line. I got that filter a little bit dirty, you guys, sorry. Filter goes down in there. Fuel return is down in there. The vent is down in there. And now we're just going to take and stick this grommet in there. If I had a regular screwdriver, that would probably help me out a lot. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm just pushing the edge down inside the tank. I'm using the pointed end of these pliers. See, there's that last little bit that's got to go in. Push in. It's down, it's seated. Now we got everything. We have a little bit of extra, like pigtails and stuff. So there's the vent. This is the one that we measured up for the fuel return. This one right here. And then the super extra long one is going to be the fuel in. All right, camera's getting hot. Hang in there, guys. Sorry. Okay, camera cooled down a little bit. So, all right, before we get going to doing the carburetor and stuff, this is, you can see the new one on the left, the old one on the right. Now, they look pretty much the same as far as like say like the orientation of the fuel lines and all that stuff, you know, coming out of the bottom down here, same thing down here, whatever, the barrels are looking the same. It all looks pretty much the same. You look right across here, but there's this one little extra piece because maybe this carburetor might fit like a PB-550 or a 600 or something, and that they need that piece. It's easier for you as, you know, the tech or a mechanic, whatever, is to take that off than to have to order up a new piece. So if you look from the top, you can see there's a screw right there, there's a screw right there. That's what's holding that the slide barrel. Like when it turns, it actually rises up. I don't know if you guys know that. A little roller bearing in there, but watch it. Underneath my thumb, see how it rises up? It's supposed to do that. So anyways, we're going to get that one out of the picture, and we're going to come back over to here, see if I can do this. See if I can do this from the side so you can see. There's literally, hear that? That's the screwdriver. This screwdriver handle is touching. That's how close I'm working. Start sending in your cash, checks, stamps, money order. Subscribe to my Patreon account. I got about 9 guys that all do $10,000 a week. I really love those guys. So if you really want me to love you, yeah, $10,000 a week, and I'll make you. We'll be buddies for life. I'm just kidding, you guys. I do half my work off camera anyways. All right, so we got that out of there. This piece is a see ya. We'll line it back up, put the screws back in. So now we're dealing with the same situation, same scenario as what the old carburetor, how it was configured. See, this is where fast forward would really come in handy. Here's one. That's an awful long screw for something that probably doesn't need to be, but we'll see. Let's see, am I in the picture? Yeah. All right, so we're doing this and getting it all configured. So next up, and here's another thing that even if you're buying replacement carburetor kits and stuff, or carburetors actually, and you're going to go to set it up on your SRM or your whatever, your 225 or a hedger or something like that, and look over here on this side. This is where the throttle cable actually goes in. Look from the top, it looks the same. From there, it's just a slit. But over on this side, there's a bunch of different hole sizes that cable actually has to go and slip into. Well, let me grab it. Oh, my back. Here's the old cable. So when it goes to set in, if you do it like this, that piece is going to stick out, and it's not, your carb's not going to work right. You'll be able to get the pull on it, but you won't be able to set, you know, the right. It won't work. You got it off by 180 degrees. Once you turn it around like this, that cable goes right in there, and it hides. It's gone. It's inside. So now when you take and you push the trigger for the throttle, you get a straight pull, and it goes wide open. So that's kind of important. This over here, that's just like sitting at an idle adjustment. That's going to be the speed control jet. We'll mess with that here right before we pack it up to take it back. But yeah, that's important to get that thing lined up. And if you got your cable just right when you go to line this bad chicken up, you guys, you're like, oh man, it won't reach. Just slide this over with your hand like that, and it gives you that extra ½ inch. You can slide it over, and then you'll be able to get that in there. Of course, I can't do it. No problem. It gives you that little bit of extra reach just by sliding it over. Okay, I'm gonna start lining this stuff up. I got to do a little bit of cleaning on it first, because there is no gasket where it goes back to this manifold. It's rubber there, but you can see I got a little bit of caca sitting right up there on top. I want to get all that stuff out of there so it doesn't get sucked in when I put the new carb on. So I'll be back. Okay, you guys, so now the throttle is just kind of sitting up in here. The cable, boing, it's just sticking up in there. I set it up about 1/4 of an inch on the way up there. If I can't get enough RPMs out of it, then I'll have to pull that and move that screw up a little bit. But here's the wires. You can see there's the wires. One that's coming from the new handle. The other one is connected up down. Whoops. The other one is connected up down below here, and there's a little slot right over here to keep these wires from getting sucked up into anything. And then the ground wires, they go behind that plate. Maybe they don't. They shouldn't. We're going to take and switch them around. I'm going to put them through the little eyelets. There's the other eyelet. You can see, yeah. There's the other eyelet, and then now onto this metal plate. What that metal plate does is that it's going to do twofold once it gets in there. It goes right in there like this. It'll keep this from jumping out. It'll keep those wires from coming out, and then it also finishes up the ground. So we're going to take and move all this stuff right here. Make sure our wires are back behind there. And there's like that. Where is my T27? Hold on, don't fall. This handle is so long, I'm underneath the camera. This is crazy. This is just crazy talk, you guys. You can see me screwing it in there. It's going to hold it into place. Don't fall, camera, don't fall. And there we go. Still a little bit of play on those wires back there. I didn't pinch them. This can't come out. And those wires, I want to move these down and do the last 1/4 turn. And there we go. Okay, there's that. Now it's going to be carburetor, guys. I'll be back. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to help you or confuse you or not. But the way to get these fuel lines, I have purposely left the carburetor not connected yet because let's go up here like this a little bit. It goes and it sets right there. I call that the isolator block, but it's like a little manifold that's on a rubber mount that goes up in there. Okay, but here's how the fuel line works: is the primer is what does the magic. Okay, so the thicker of the two over here, this is the fuel line that we built together, and it has the fuel filter on it down in the bottom. The other side over here, right there, is going to go to the short side of, it's hard to hold all this shit together, of the primer. But what that does is, like, when the magic happens, is like when you push in on that, it's dumping fuel back down into the tank. Watch my fingers. So like when you let go, it sucks the gas up through here, through the carburetor, and then back over to the primer. So it's a straw, but the carburetor gets in the way. It just, all the primer does is to draw fuel, and it happens opposite of what you think. It doesn't push fuel into the carburetor, it sucks it through. So when you're hooking this thing up, you can see that there's the bowl is full. Here, let me lay this down. You guys are so worth this. That's why I love doing this. So you can see there's a bulb right there. So when you squeeze it, it's dumping it back into the tank. And then when you let it go, it's sucking it through the carburetor. So that now the carburetor is primed. Okay? All right. Okay, so the carburetor is on now. It's just that plate. It's the 2 longest bolts that we had in our reserve tray over here. So that's on. Now here comes the part that we were talking about in the very beginning. Let me see if I can try to do this one-handed. I'm going to reach in here. I'm going to grab the throttle cable. I'm going to work it around. Whoops, hold on. I can do this. I'm going to work it around. And then back in there, right there. See that little wheel? That's got to go over that wheel. And then down underneath it here, if you look at that little brass point on the carburetor, see how I have that hole lined up? So I'll just be able to take and put that cable in that slot. I cannot do it holding the phone. So I'll be back. Okay, it's in there, and if you look right down straight through there, see how it's lined up. It's the lug is actually inside that piece. And I'm reaching over here and working the throttle from the new piece, the new trigger that we put in. See how it pulls it? That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay? All right. Now it's starting to put back together just the plastics and stuff. So hang in there, guys. Okay, here we are. Got the old plug loosened up. I always like to inspect these for color. Should be a nice golden tan. It is, but it's got flakes. It's got carbon that's been flaking off of it. Let me see. You can see the end. See it? That right there. It almost looks like it might have been touching the top of the piston, but I don't know. It's got flakes coming off. We all know where they went, right? We all know where they went. All right, here's a new plug going in. And then the next shot, I think, you guys, I don't think you really need to see all the plastic. Just watch the first part, or remember the first part in reverse. Because it's getting dark and you get this thing finished up. This is 2 hours for probably about a 30-40 minute job, because I am not a Hollywood cameraman. Well, actually, I'm not a lot of things, but cameraman is one of them that I'm just not. Okay, we'll be back with a runner in a second. Okay, you guys, do we need light? Nah, not really. But anyways, it's all back together now. Just like all the screws and everything, I put those back in there. I got the light on because, like I said, it's getting dark. It was missing a couple of screws like when we first got it, if you remember. But yeah, everything's all back the way that it kind of should be. Just kidding. Choke off. Full new spark plug. Got the new throttle switch. Gonna take that off. It was already running. Started right up on the third pull. Here we go. It's blowing everything off the table. Duh. It's a blower. All right, you guys, I'm gonna piece this thing together, and then I don't know. It's an awful lot of work. So hats off to all you guys that really do a spectacular job. I know all the effort that goes into it. You got to put it on a computer and edit and do this, that, and the other thing. But it was just something I felt like doing. So mark this off the bucket list. Now I just got to go find somebody that'll let me climb one of those, what do you call them? Those big giant like radio towers, and let me change a light bulb, because that's on the bucket list. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for commenting. If you want me to shorten them up, too bad. All right, we'll talk at you later. I'm done. I'm returning this. I'm out.